Tonight, Democrats descend on Chicago.
Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future.
What to expect as Vice President Harris prepares to accept her party's nomination for president. Plus, Secretary Blinken back in Israel.
Probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home.
The latest push for a ceasefire in the IDF's war against Hamas. And 4 church buildings set ablaze within months of each other.
You start putting 2 and 2 together, you have a pattern.
A look at the investigation into church arson in Ohio. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Democrats take center stage tonight as they prepare to officially make Kamala Harris their presidential nominee. Good evening and welcome to Faith Nation. From the CBN headquarters in Virginia Beach, I'm Brody Carter. Well, Democrats are kicking off their convention with a critical mission, leveraging the star power of former presidents to unify the party and secure hold of the Oval Office. Still, divisive protests are already underway on Chicago streets surrounding that convention, many angry over the administration's handling of Israel's war against Hamas. Washington correspondent Michelle London brings us this look at what to expect during this week's DNC.
The fight for a future in America. Words we can expect to hear throughout the convention as the Harris ticket works to define its policies and draw in Gen Z and rural working class voters. Political analysts say this is a pivotal week that could shape their campaign. Coming off of a busy month on the campaign trail, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz are primed for a week of events on stage of the Democratic National Convention, capping it all off with their nomination. Since President Biden stepped aside, the Harris campaign has re-energized Democratic voters, raising more than $300 million and attracting crowds topping 10,000.
This campaign, our campaign, is not just a fight against Donald Trump. Our campaign, this campaign, is a fight for the future.
It's been a whirlwind campaign. Barely 2 weeks after taking over, Harris picked Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as her choice for vice president.
When we fight,
then launching into a swing state tour where the duo voiced their vision for America's future, with abortion access a top priority.
We will pass a bill to restore reproductive freedom, and I will proudly sign it into law.
And other policies, like strengthening the Affordable Care Act, stricter gun control, and raising the minimum wage. Walz, the longtime high school teacher and football coach, looks to draw in blue-collar voters.
when unions are strong, America's strong.
It all means the race to November is tightening, with the polls revealing battleground states leaning slightly in Harris's favor. While the road to Chicago has been wide open, Democrats will face a bumpy ride at the convention over deep divisions in their party on a crucial issue.
Well, there have been real fractures within the Democratic Party on Israel.
In the primaries, Democrat members of Congress who spoke out against U.S. support for Israel's war against Hamas were defeated. Two highly visible losses: Rep. Cori Bush of Missouri and New York Congressman Jamal Bowman, who belonged to a progressive group known as the Squad. Their opponents, both strong backers of Israel. While the party fights it out inside the convention center, tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian and anti-Israel protesters are expected to gather in Chicago.
We already know that there have been plans for protests in Chicago next week. So it's definitely something that the party is going to be really trying to carefully maneuver.
Politico's Meredith McGraw predicts those loud voices will add pressure for Harris to voice a clear stance this week.
Vice President Harris is really trying to walk a fine line between not abandoning some voters and supporters who are further left, who have been calling for a ceasefire and who have been protesting the Biden administration's policies when it comes to Israel, and also defending an ally of the U.S.
One way the DNC looks to bring unity to the party: support from past leadership. The one thing McGraw says may have been missing at the Republican National Convention.
You didn't see other Republican leadership sharing the stage with Trump. It really was a message that the GOP is Trump's party now.
Former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton will headline this week's convention as the party rolls out its vision for a Harris presidency. And headlining tonight's lineup, President Biden and Hillary Clinton will address the crowd. Later in the week, Walz will officially accept the vice presidential nomination on Wednesday.
That was Washington correspondent Michelle London. Meanwhile, happening outside the convention, protesters calling on the Democratic Party to end its support for Israel. Buses are bringing in activists from all over the country, and organizers expect at least 20,000 people to fill the streets.
I want Vice President Harris to know that there are people who are not willing to vote for her if she is going to continue to arm and fund the Israelis and participate in genocide.
Protesters are also rallying around other progressive issues like climate change, abortion, and LGBTQ rights. Chicago authorities say they are tightening security around the event. The demonstrations, they're scheduled every day of this convention. And joining us to break it all down is our guest panel, CBN Chief Political Analyst David Brody and Justin Giboney, President of the AND campaign. Gentlemen, welcome. Justin, I want to start with you. President Biden set to deliver a primetime address tonight. He's expected to officially pass the torch to Kamala Harris. So what key messages should we anticipate from the president?
I expected it to be somewhat awkward. I mean, we know what happened for all this to even come about. But I expect him to say, look, she's going to continue what they've been doing in his administration, to talk about the economy and how they're trustworthy with the economy. I think that's one place where she's behind Trump right now. So expect Biden to hit on that. And really the fact on the democracy point, that democracy, he will say, is not safe with Trump, and that they need to support Kamala to make sure democracy is set in place. For sure. It'll be interesting to see how these issues resonate with the constituents. David, the Harris campaign, they're gaining momentum. She holds a slight lead over Donald Trump in the national polling. Do you see this lasting?
Well, so far we've seen Kamala on prompter. We haven't seen a press conference. We haven't seen an interview. And of course, the debate is on September 10th. So let's talk pre-prompter and post-prompter, and then we'll have a better sense of the numbers. But I can tell you this, the fundamentals of the race deep down beyond the national polls and even the swing state polls haven't changed. I mean, Trump is still ahead on the economy, on inflation, on immigration, some of the top tier issues. So there's still good news for the Trump campaign, but Kamala has pitched a no-hitter so far. She's doing very, very well, and the convention week will be more of that no-hitter. It'll continue this week for sure. David, thank you for that insight here. Justin, the AND campaign believes in civic and community engagement, of which you're the president of. So with so many voices and protesters descending on Chicago for the DNC, how do you see the church mobilizing its influence to address these pressing issues? Well, I think it's important for us to keep everything in perspective, and people can have their partisan preferences, but what we can't do is hold back our critique. And so for both candidates, what I hope the church will do is be intellectually honest, uphold the same standard for both sides, and go from there. But the biggest thing I would say, and I said this before here, we have to make sure that people have hope. Even if they lose, even if you're on the side that loses in November, there is reason to go on. There is reason to keep on moving and treating your neighbor, even those that disagree with you, with dignity. Well, there's so many polarizing issues, Justin. As we were talking about prior to the show's start, I want to ask you why there's such a polarization, and how do you bring them together? I think it goes a little bit more deeper than hope. Yeah, surely. I mean, this is a pluralistic society, right? So we have people with different ideas and beliefs. And I think for some reason, we've seen those things today as things we can't get past, rather than talking through them, each of us advocating for our side and moving on. I mean, these are life or death issues, so they're serious. However, we need to be able to have enough respect for one another to hear each other out and be those who are trying to persuade others and not compel them to do what we want them to do. Of course, life and death issues, which is why it's so important to get out to the polls and vote. There is a deepening divide among Christians over the Evangelicals for Harris movement, with Franklin Graham opposing it while the granddaughter of the late Billy Graham supports it. What is this movement about, David, and how should people of faith evaluate it? Well, look, the group Evangelicals for Harris wants to shift the conversation. They're not the only ones. They want to kind of go back, if you want to say retro, to agree to Barack Obama. Remember the hope and change and, of course, the golden rule? Well, they want to go and talk about love thy neighbor. It's really more a social justice type gospel. It's rooted in many of a lot of leftist thoughts. Some would call it even Christian socialism. They believe as in the Evangelicals for Harris campaign, believes they can attract some of those dissatisfied conservative evangelicals who are not the hardcore Trump supporters. He's not going to lose them. They'll be about 75% or so. But can they tap into that 20-25% of ones that are potentially on the fence? That's the play politically.
So, Justin, can I ask you what's your take on this, the Evangelicals for Harris movement?
Yeah, I wouldn't paint them all with a broad brush. I think there is something that Brody is saying as far as some of the folks leaning further left. Others just think that Trump should not be in office, and that since the person most likely to beat him is not going to be in the third party, it's going to be somebody from the Democratic Party, that Kamala is the best choice to go with. So I think there's a broad agreement among the group. I don't think everybody is leftist or would call themselves socialists. In fact, I know for sure that all of them wouldn't. I know some of them, but certainly a group that is trying to change the conversation, change the vibes, and I think open the door for some evangelicals to feel it's okay to vote for the Democrats.
Gentlemen, thank you for both of your perspectives. Time for one more question here. David, I want to end with you. Support for Israel, a pretty polarizing topic among Democrats. How do you see this as an evolving topic with regards to the policy, with our relationship with Israel? And is this opening a door to increased influence from pro-Hamas protesters?
Well, there's no doubt about that. And I think also politically, Democrats need to be very careful about what's going to happen in Pennsylvania. You know, Pennsylvania has the largest Jewish population when it comes to voters in the election. It's obviously the key swing state of all swing states, if you will. So they've got to be very careful there. Watch for Trump and others to make inroads there. That's a real viable concern. And if it gets crazy this week in Chicago, many expect it to get crazy, that's going to become even more of a problem.
David Brody, Justin Giboney, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Well, coming up, high-stakes diplomacy to free Israeli hostages and secure a ceasefire. The latest on the war in Gaza when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. Washington is under intense pressure tonight to help secure a ceasefire hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in the Middle East, hoping to push this agreement across the finish line after months of stalemates. Israel officially today endorsed the latest U.S. proposal, those terms of which were already rejected by Hamas.
This is a decisive moment, probably the best, maybe the last opportunity to get the hostages home, to get a ceasefire, and to put everyone on a better path to enduring peace and security.
Today, Hamas and another group called Palestinian Islamic Jihad claimed responsibility for an explosion near a synagogue in Tel Aviv Sunday night. They say it was an attempted suicide bombing and more attacks are on the way. This as the IDF says it killed dozens of terrorists in central and southern Gaza on Monday. Well, joining us now is Ilan Carr, CEO of the Israeli-American Council. Ilan also served as a special envoy for monitoring and combating anti-Semitism under President Trump. Ilan, thank you so much for being here. This week...
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Yes, of course. It's a pleasure to have you. We expect to see massive protests against Israel in Chicago, Ilan, and with many college students returning to school, there will likely be a resurgence of campus protests. So what do you make of these demonstrations, and how is your organization responding?
Well, I think it's very important to see these protests for what they are. You know, these are vicious, Israel-hating, and often Jew-hating protests. And it's not only Israel that's in the crosshairs. Let's all be clear about this. It's America that's in the crosshairs. That's why you see them tearing down American flags on campuses and in our communities, burning American flags, which we saw that at Union Station in our nation's capital in Washington, D.C. And so, look, I don't know what's going to happen in Chicago. I don't know what this is going to look like, but we know what it's looked like in the past. We know what these people have done in our cities and on our campuses, and it's ugly anti-Semitism and anti-Americanism. And so this is a chance for all of us to come together and call this out for what it is. Look, I get it. You know, people who hate America and hate Israel, they have a First Amendment right to express themselves as long as they do it peacefully and they don't destroy properties. These people often have. But you know what? So do we. So do the good guys. And the Israeli-American Council that I lead, We're the only pro-Israel organization to have filed permits to march in Chicago so that the American public watching this global event gets to see the majority view, which is patriotism, love of America, and love of Israel and solidarity with the state of Israel. That's what IAC aims to do. Sadly, all of our permit applications for marches and assemblies have been either denied or ignored. We just got this permit to speak at a Chicago stage. What we ended up doing is getting a private lot and creating what we're calling Hostage Square Chicago. And so Hostage Square is Chicago, modeled after Hostage Square in Tel Aviv, will allow members of the media, members of Congress, delegates to come and stand in solidarity with the United States, with the U.S.-Israel alliance, with Israel, and of course, with hostages. Well, hostages, American citizens, by the way, American citizens still today sitting in Hamas hell. It's an outrage. And that's what we're going to call attention to this coming Tuesday, tomorrow.
Of course. And Alon, given your extensive record, your expertise on the situation, where does criticism of Israel cross the line into anti-Semitism? And do you see what's happening on the world stage potentially affecting our elections here in the U.S.?
Well, for sure. Look, any country can be criticized, right? But if that criticism is a demonization of the state of Israel, the delegitimization of a Jewish state, well, that's not criticism. That's anti-Semitism. And also the application of double standards to which no other democracy in the world is held. You know, if you hold the one Jewish state to a standard that's different, well, that's anti-Semitism. And actually, we have a definition, the IRA definition of anti-Semitism, that makes that very clear. So it's clear when one crosses the line. Sadly, all of these demonstrations, they're Israel-hating demonstrations. And as I say it, and as I said it when I was in government, if you hate the Jewish state, you hate the Jewish people. That's how it works. It's really quite simple. And these people are vicious haters of Israel and, frankly, as I said, very often of America itself, which is why they burn American flags. And we ought to call it out. They might have a First Amendment right to do it. We need to say it's a disgrace and it's un-American.
Ilan Carr, I wish I could pick your brain all afternoon, but unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this interview. Thank you so much for joining us.
Brody, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir, of course. Up next, 4 Ohio churches burned to the ground. The investigation into these arson attacks right after this. Welcome back. Powerful thunderstorms are lashing the East Coast, bringing severe floods, mudslides, and widespread destruction. Some cities already under feet of water after weekend rains drenched the region. Officials say at least one person was killed in Connecticut. A second person is missing after they were swept away by the current. The rain shutting down beaches in New York and turning streets into rivers.
Car shut down because it sensed the water, and unfortunately I was in the process of just backing right out of it.
Well, meanwhile, Hurricane Ernesto is churning in the Atlantic, battering beaches with dangerous rip currents. The National Hurricane Center warns the storm could strengthen as it moves along Canada's coast before eventually weakening. Well, turning now to a string of arson attacks in Ohio. 4 churches burned to the ground, with 3 happening in just the last 4 months. State investigators now believe the incidents are all connected. These crimes come amid an uptick of violence against churches. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke has this story.
The string of rural Ohio church fires have left parishioners and investigators with many questions and few answers.
We haven't had, a graffiti situation. We haven't had anything left at the scene that would say that there's hatred towards the church or hatred towards God. We don't have any of those factors.
Still, Chief Josh Hobbs with the Ohio State Fire Marshal's office tells CBN News they're now confident these are all acts of arson and likely committed by the same person or group of people.
So a couple of these churches perhaps were unoccupied at the time of the fire and had no electric service. So we knew there was a human act involved. And then when you have other fires in that area, you start putting 2 and 2 together, and you have a pattern.
The first happened at Coquine Enterprise Baptist in April of 2022. Then nothing for 2 years until May, July, and August of this year, with 3 more churches set on fire, all in close proximity to the first.
The timing and the geography of these fires, the type of churches, all of those things, they're all very similar in appearance, very similar in nature, where they're at, the desolate nature of the churches. You know, when you look at the map, although it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, they almost make a little triangle.
Churches in America are experiencing record levels of violence and hostility. A Family Research Council report showing incidents have more than doubled since 2022, with a majority reported as vandalism or arson. Chief Hobbs says with such a high threat level, awareness of what's happening around your building is key.
Now, in 2024, the ability to have some surveillance, some sort of surveillance equipment is, you know, whether it's just a Ring type camera, you know, you don't have to have, if you had something on the front and the back, you know, you'd be amazed at what they catch.
The Ohio State Fire Marshal's office is committed to solving this case, telling CBN News that until the suspect or suspects are apprehended, there's always a risk they could not only strike again, but escalate their attacks.
Are they going to start getting brazen? So that's the concern. Is they got to get brazen, or are they going to get burned out on churches, no pun intended, and move on to something more significant? Or are they going to escalate away from fire?
Thanks to tips from the public, Ohio Fire Marshal investigators are now looking into several other church fires. A $10,000 reward is being offered for information leading to the identification and arrest of those responsible for these fires. And Chief Hobbs says a member of the public has added another $5,000 to that offer. If you have information, you can, of course, contact the Ohio State Fire Marshal tip line, and you can find that information in the story on our website. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Finally tonight, a special mission for a dad who serves in the Army, returning home to Arizona. U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Chris Fulton spent the last 12 months on deployment in the Middle East. When Chris found out he was coming home, he and his wife, Jordan, they teamed up with the school principal to surprise their two daughters. The girls joined their classmates at Gilbert Elementary School for an assembly when they'd learned there was a surprise behind the curtain. When that curtain opened up, they saw their dad for the first time in over a year. The family says they're thankful for such a memorable reunion. It's a heartfelt, beautiful story, and we salute all of our soldiers who've served this nation. That'll do it for us on Faith Nation. See you tomorrow.